With us right now, it's Matt Schlegel. Matt, you are the author of the book Teamwork 9.0. You're a consultant, author, and speaker, and you are the principal with Schlegel Consulting, and you're found on the web at evolutionaryteams.com. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
It's so great to be with you here today, Josh. Thank you.
You know, I should say that we're about 11 minutes into our conversation by the time we finally hit record, because we started talking about the Enneagram, which is, one construct that you use in your work. But, of course, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I'm a 7. My wife is a 6. And we started talking about that. But we're going to get to that for sure.
Yeah.
But please give us an overview of your work, who you work with, and the impact that you have.
Yeah, well, thank you. So my focus, my background is in engineering product development, and I've always been focused on getting my teams to be more effective. So along the way, I'm always looking for great new tools to use to, keep the team working together, keep them aligned and moving forward. And along the way, I found this really fascinating tool called the Enneagram, and I started using it with my team. And it was stunning how effective it was at, helping the team members understand each other, resolve conflicts, understand perspectives, improve communication. And then I also realized that, the Enneagram has numbers for the types, not colors or letters or animals, it's numbers. Why is it numbers? And I found out that there's a reason why the numbers are in the order in which each of those personality dynamics come into play in problem solving. So for instance, type 1 is the one saying, hey, that's not right. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like this. Well, what's the first step in problem solving? It's like, hey, there's a problem. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like this. And all the way around. So I became fascinated with the Enneagram in that way, developed a problem-solving methodology, used that with my teams. It was amazing with that. And then I, founded my company to just do consulting in that world. And I wrote a book, Teamwork 9.0, which you gratefully mentioned. And it describes how you can use the Enneagram in this novel way. So it's a fantastic personality system, but it's also a very powerful problem-solving system that gets teams aligned around solving big, challenging problems.
Yeah. So tell me about the book and who the book is for. Teamwork 9.0. You could get it right now. I see you can get it on Amazon. And mostly I'm curious about what is the transformation that takes place in the reader when they consume and apply the content.
Right. And, so I would say, broadly speaking, the audience for the book is leaders of teams. Anybody who is leading a team will benefit from reading the book, knowing the Enneagram, applying both the personality side of it to understanding the team dynamics at a personality level, but then understanding, all the challenges the team has as they're moving through the problem-solving process towards their goal.
Yeah. And overall, in terms of if you were to go through the structure of it, I understand who it's written for, but what would you say would be some of the high level headlines of, if you really want to succeed with teams today, then, if you're, I hate to ask you to do this, right, but boil it down, your entire book, your life's learning into a couple of principles.
Right.
Sorry, that's so unfair.
No,
but what would those
great,
be?
Because, what happens to teams, is that, we often as leaders tend to hire people like ourselves who think the same way. And when we do that, then we'll create a team that is imbalanced and we'll have some blind spots. And you may even be unaware of the blind spots, because you don't have all the perspectives. And you end up, getting into these situations, and we have all of these, aphorisms for like, analysis by paralysis, right? If you have a team that's just mostly fives, all they're going to be doing is analyzing things and not moving forward. So, this book helps leaders understand how teams get stuck, and then helps them get unstuck and moving towards their goal. And that is the bottom line, is I'm trying to make teams as effective as they can be.
Yeah. So how do you work professionally then as a consultancy? Who are you typically working with, and what does engagement look like?
Right. So, I will, engage with my clients in a number of different ways. So some clients, they just want, like to learn the Enneagram. A leader will say, I have this team. I want to understand my team better. I want them to understand me better. I want them to understand each other better. And then I will do an Enneagram workshop with them in order to help everybody kind of understand their perspectives. And then I'll also overlay and share that framework of problem solving with the team. And I'll say, well, I'm looking at your team. You've got, a few 8s, and you've got a few 2s, and you've got a few 5s, but you're probably challenged in this way. I can know how the team will be challenged based on the mix of the teams. And when I show them the problem solving process, then they'll start to realize, oh yeah, that's why we get stuck here. And maybe we need to, one, just appreciate that and step into that role ourselves, or maybe we bring in somebody to fill that role for us so that we don't get stuck there like we always do. And so just to help the team understand that those team dynamics that are going on when they're working together.
Yeah. So there are different modalities. I don't know. I'm using a big word like I know what I'm talking about. There are different, ways that you can say, well, I am and people will list out like, so Enneagram. So I tend to like that over, what's that other one that's like EFNM and
Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs, very popular.
Yeah.
What is it about Enneagram that is resourceful for you in a way that maybe the other ones aren't?
Right. Well, for me, Myers-Briggs, it seems unnecessarily complicated, and it's a little harder for me to kind of intuitively grasp. That was one problem I had.
Yeah, me too.
Right. And then the other problem I had with it is that it really doesn't speak to dynamicism. It's like, because I know, intuitively that my behaviors change based on, my stress levels, if I'm relaxed or I'm stressed, or, and I know these changes are happening, and that Myers-Briggs doesn't necessarily speak to that. Whereas, the Enneagram, just built into it is all these dynamics, right? So if you look at the Enneagram diagram, it's a circle. And then there's all these lines in the middle, and every point on the circle, every number is connected to 2 other numbers. And those are your stress and unstressed lines. So when you're stressed, you tend to move in one direction. And when you're unstressed, you tend to move in another direction. So you can see, oh, that's why I start to behave this way when I'm stressed. For instance, for me, I'm a 6. And, the head group, and which is the 6 is at the core of, the dominant driver to behaviors is anxiety.
Yeah.
And 6s,
I'm married to a 6, and I agree.
And so 6s, what we do is we tend to suppress our anxiety, but, it comes up when things aren't going the way we expect. And when they do, that anxiety starts to rise in us. And
Mhm.
then our behaviors start to look more like the type 3. Now, the type 3 is called the achiever. They're really highly productive and they're just wanting to get stuff done. And and I realize I do this. When I start to get stressed, I start making lists and I start checking
Yeah.
stuff off. And as I'm doing that, my anxiety is going down.
Mm.
And after I get all that stuff done and I'm addressing all the things that are causing me anxiety, then I can relax again. But during that phase, I was like looking and behaving more like a 3. And when I can get to that point where I'm on vacation, I'm not worried about anything, then I can look like that nice, relaxed 9. I can get a good night's sleep and all that.
Mhm.
So, just those dynamics were were just fascinated me. And then understanding how each type has a unique set of dynamics is amazing power in that system that really appealed to me.
Yeah. What happens when a 7 gets stressed?
Right. Well, when the 7 gets stressed, they move to type 1. And so they can get very particular about things and start to
Yeah.
kind of nitpick on things
Mm. Mhm.
and go down that path.
Interesting.
Yes. And so that's because the 1 is that it's a perfectionist, right? And so
Yeah.
they're striving to get it right. But when the 7 their anxiety comes up, it's because they're not able to seek the fun relationships,
Yes.
and things aren't going the way they want them to do, and so they start to nitpick on things.
Mm. I
Does
can
that
see
sound
that.
familiar?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, I feel like, okay, variety and stuff, that's all well and good when times are good. But right now, I need to get my life back and I need to get my life in order. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or, oh, heaven forbid, there would, maybe be a situation in business or,
Right.
With a team, I like to kind of break things down to their simplest elements and like, let's address the emotions, let's address this, and it feels it gives it it's like I feel organized. I feel like I'm being responsible if we let's lay out all the cards out on the table.
Yeah.
But yes, this is the standard for this is the way it should be. Let's so forth. So
And you use such a good word there, is putting things in order, because that
Mm-hmm.
is a very 1 activity. Putting things in order, organizing their shelves, organizing the dishes, in the rack, just like everything needs to be in order.
Interesting.
So that's a great word.
I just chalked it up to the monk in me that occasionally comes out.
Yes.
Like my toothpaste, for example, does need to be rolled a certain way. Yeah. Okay. This is really applicable for our teams. How do we use this? If we know, like, for example, if I know my director of operations, she's a 1. It's like she's the perfectionist. She is absolutely the order in all things, and she is perfect for her role because she's if anything gets by her, it's like it's very infrequent, and I could tell she's really disappointed if something does get past her.
Well, so when I was looking for an editor for my book, I wanted to hire a 1.
Yeah.
And so I started just interviewing editors and talking to them about the book, and until I came across an editor that says, "Oh, I love the Enneagram. I'm a type 1." I'm like, yes. Because you're exactly right. And here's the other thing, Josh, is and I talk about this in my in the book on work teams, what people come together to form effective work teams. And there's, groups of 3, in Enneagram parlance, we call them triads, but, groups of 3 that do come together. And one of the groups is the 1, the 7, and the 4. So, that 1-7 combination is really powerful, and it's a very complementary combination.
Yeah. Okay. So someone's listening to our conversation and they're like, "This is great." Are you working long term with people? Do you kind of work on kind of a workshop basis, and how does that usually look?
Right. So there's two different models. So one, and I mentioned, just do the workshop, but the other is, and this is what I love to do as well, is work with a team that has a big challenge and help that team work through the challenge. In other words, take them through that 9-step Enneagram problem solving process and get the team to solve the big challenge. And I describe it like, when you need to work on the system rather than just in the system. So I tend to work with, say, a cross-functional team of leaders. For instance, if you're wanting to improve your product development process, or you want to reduce product returns, or you want to, come up with creative ways to solve a supply chain issue, or how to bring people back into the office. It's something big that you as an organization need to do, but it's not your main business necessarily, right? It's not what you do every day. You need to kind of stand back and look big picture and get your team aligned to come together to solve the problem and develop a new way of working together that's more effective than you're doing now. So then I take a team of cross-functional leaders. I like somebody, from operations, from engineering, from finance, from, IT, from, one of everybody, a leader in that group, and get them to work together and collaborate on what their ideal way of working together would be like once that big challenge was solved, and get them to visualize that, and then get them to work together, come up with creative ideas, and then implement those ideas to solve the problem. And I can do that with a team, just like stepping them through the process. And it's such fascinating work to see teams come together around solving problems that they often don't even think they can solve.
Yeah. Your website, evolutionaryteams.com, someone goes there, what should they click on? What do they do?
Yeah, I mean, you can send me an email, give me a call. Those are, if you have a question and you want to learn more, you can always contact me. I have a blog where I talk about a lot of these concepts. But definitely reach out to me if there's something on your mind that you want to explore. I also, if you're just interested in the Enneagram, I do have a complimentary Enneagram assessment on the website. So feel free to take that and use that to start to explore your Enneagram type.
Yeah. Terrific. Awesome. All right. Matt Schlegel, again, your website or your book. I want to promote that. One more time. The book? I just had it on the other page. Oh, Teamwork 9.0. That's on Amazon. And of course, your website, evolutionaryteams.com. Matt Schlegel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Josh. It's been great speaking with you.